Hey, Mells.
Hi, what's up, Acadia?
Can we call this episode of American Horror Stream Snakes on a Plate?
No.
How about Plan B, the morning after?
Rongo Bongo.
What are we going to call it then?
We're calling this episode Interview with a Langdon.
Ha ha! All right, let's do that. And here we are, everybody. You can put your camera on. Everybody can see us. Hello. Hello, hello.
What's up,
How's
Acadia?
everybody?
How's everybody on this fine Friday evening?
Yeah, it is nice. It's a nice evening to talk about American Horror Story instead of doing other things that aren't that.
This is true. If you're in the state of Texas like I am, you are avoiding the flood that is happening right now. So you can tune into this live stream and talk some fun stuff about American Horror Story.
Yep. Or if you're listening to it on iTunes, you should check the news to find out if Mells is dead.
Yes, please do. Keep me in your thoughts.
But if you are listening live and you want to, you can just say what's up in the chat, just like Jen Crowder and Terry Gallo. Hello.
Hello. All righty. Well, I am Mells Bells. I am joined by the one and only Acadia Einstein. How are you doing this evening?
I'm good, and I wanted this to be special, so I wore my cape, which I don't usually
I like it. I was about to say, you're extra sparkly tonight, and I like it.
It's very fancy, and it was made for me by a very, very awesome lady who was really good at making capes.
Well, yes, I'd say that she is a master of the craft because that is a good-looking cape.
I think capestress is the word.
I like it. Capestress. Well, she's a talented capestress. She is.
Yep. And you are looking super like cat burglary today.
Well, I was actually going for part of the cooperative. Yeah. So maybe I was going to say like a female version of Michael Langdon, but then again, I think he looks better than me. So I'm just like the broke down version of Michael Langdon. So how about that?
No, because your eyes aren't all like weird and allergied up.
Well, not right now. I took a medicine this morning. So.
Oh, there you go.
All right. Well, of course, we are on episode 2 of season 8, American Horror Story Apocalypse. This episode was aptly named The Morning After, which I assume is a play on the morning after we meet the Antichrist, Michael Langdon. So
it better be, because it can't be the morning after the apocalypse, because that ship sailed like 18 months ago.
It sure did. Yeah, we're in pretty dire straits right now in post-nuclear world. So,
or are we?
Or are we? You're right about that. So, what were your thoughts on the episode last night? Or, well, I guess it wasn't last night, unless you're.
Oh yeah, it was Wednesday. But the fact is that we need time to get ready to do this. And overall, I think it was a fun episode in that they really moved things along as far as what the overall plot of this season is going to be. I think the problem is, and you can see it on the sign behind me, I still ain't got no witches.
Where are my witches at?
That's right. I don't have them. I don't have my scrawny goddess. I don't have Myrtle. I don't have any of the things that I like. I just got more Evan Peters ass, which is fine. That's great. But I mean, starting to feel a little neglected here.
It's called supply and demand, Acadia. Okay. Apparently right now, Scrawny Goddess is not on the top of everyone's list.
Man.
She will be soon.
Yeah, that's true. But I did like it. I liked it. Did I like it as much as the premiere? You know what? Actually, I think I did like it as much as the premiere because it didn't have that goofy shit in the beginning, and they kind of just dragged us right in. Plus, we got our first callback to another season.
Yes, we did. I agree. I'm glad that we didn't have any of the world is ending and this is what it looks like in a satirical type of way. Glad that that was over with and we just got to dive straight into Outpost number 3 and what Michael Langdon's intentions are there. And of course, we did get the big callback. Now, we are wondering where our witches are at, but I don't think they're far off because once we get into the recap, we'll see that we had a couple of calls into the Coven season and a couple of teasers there that I was super excited about. So,
well, I'm excited to hear the recap part because as anybody that knows anything about what's cooking here at Gallery Industries, I had some weird shit done to my spine and was sort of hopped up on goofballs while I was watching the episode. So this is going to be you bringing me up to speed.
I was about to say, this might be your refresher. Yep. I'm glad I watched it about 4 times then to make sure I get everything in for you. So.
But I promise when Emma and Francis come in, I will watch it a bunch of times.
Well, I was about to say, when Emma and you know, Francis and Myrtle come in, I think that's going to be when you start running the show, and then I'm going to be back. So, all right. Well, that without any further ado, do you want to go ahead and rate it on our Cube Mellows, or do you want to do that after we have a recap?
No, I want to go in fresh. I'm going to do the Cube thing.
Okay.
Are we sticking with the Cube thing?
I like it. I mean, Cube Mellows or Ice.
Yeah, all right. We'll stick it with
Marshes.
the Cube.
I like Cube Mellows. Yeah.
I'm gonna keep it low because I want there to be room to grow. So I'm gonna say 3.5.
Okay. No halvesies.
That's fan critical. Why do we have to do it that way?
Okay, fine. We'll allow halvesies. I don't work on that scale. I give whole marshmallow cubes. So for me, I'm going to say it was a 4 out of 5 Cube Mellows for me. It was definitely thrilling. We got a lot of revelations, especially about who's one of our main characters or what one of our main characters may actually be. So it kept me on the edge of my seat and it kept me interested, and I liked the pace that the episode actually went. It wasn't slow. It was pretty fast moving, and we got a lot of, you know, dialogue, and we moved the story along a lot during this episode. So I'm giving it a 4 out of 5.
Really? You sure you don't want to do it like 3 7/8 just to give yourself a little wiggle room?
No, I don't have to. I don't need to wiggle. I'm saving my 5.
Good for ratings.
I'm saving my 5 for what I'm hoping in my mind is going to come to fruition, and I'm not gonna reveal that right now. But I'm saving my 5 for that. And if it never happens this season, I don't know if I'm going to be able to give a 5 out. So, with that being said,
wait a minute. The chat just said that they can't see you.
What?
Is your camera turned on? Oh, now it's off. Now it's on. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. I'll cut this out of the podcast part, but
well, thanks. Well, I'm sorry.
Where is she? Hold on.
Oh goodness.
Do something. Well, this is horrible. Hold on. Control room. I don't even know what the fucking control room does, so I don't know how that's going to help. Maybe it's cameraman. I mean, I never had to touch anything for it to work last time, so what the shit is that about?
Uh-oh.
Stand by, everybody. I'm going to find out.
Okay.
I guess joins broadcast a large video. No. What the? No, that's not it. Hold on.
Okay.
It says hide their audio and video. No. Broadcast a large video that let's see. No, that can't be right either. It says broadcast a large video that I see to my audience and hide the other video feeds, but no, I don't want to do that. Why would I hide you? You're the whole reason people are showing up.
Well, it seems like you're already hiding me, Acadia. So what's up with that?
No, it's not on purpose. I mean, that's the only thing. That's literally the only thing that I can think of to switch, because that's the only button that's.
Well, I can see you and I
Oh,
can
wait
see
a minute.
myself.
Wait a minute.
Oh,
Maybe this is what happened. Can you see her now? Yeah, that's got to work. That's got to be.
okay.
Oh, Jen just said, trust me, Mel is easy on the eye. Fuck, I know it. That's why I'm trying to get her in the front.
I mean, I know it's got to be difficult to think about looking at Acadia the whole podcast long. So.
Hey, that's why I have a shiny mask. It reflects yourself back on you. All right,
and a snazzy cape. Okay, great. Yeah. All right. Well, trust me, y'all didn't miss much. Now you can see my cooperative outfit that I got going on for tonight. So.
Yep.
All right. Well, we can go ahead and jump right in. Although I did immediately write snakes on a plate with an exclamation mark, because we opened in Emily's room and she has been overrun by these creepy crawlers, and they are gross and they are coming out of her wardrobe, and we have no clue how they got in there. I mean, anything in the outside world is going to be contaminated.
Yeah. That's right off the bat. I am now utterly convinced that that's all just a big crock of shit.
Agreed, 100%. As soon as that happened, I thought, something else is going on, which we obviously knew that was going to be the premise of the season anyway. I mean, it's not what it seems on the outside ever. But yeah, as soon as the snakes started showing up, I thought, well, what really happened outside, or what's really going on outside? My thoughts kind of changed on that later in the episode, and we'll get to that when we get there. So Miriam says it has to be from some type of internal piping, something like that. And of course, they do what they do best with any kind of fresh meat. They make it into a stew, which I have to say I would probably eat stew before I would eat snake stew, because it looked just disgusting. So
I don't know why they didn't like mince it or some shit. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't have to just leave it. Like, I don't know. It's like when they, oh yeah, you're going to have fish. So they just put the fish on your plate, but it's cooked. I don't want to see what it looked like before I ate it.
Yeah, I don't want to see. I mean, poor fishy. I don't want to see your eye, and I don't want to see your mouth. Yeah.
They don't make hamburgers shaped like cows.
They make chicken nuggets the shape of states, though. So I don't know. But well, my first thought was, why didn't you put this in a blender? And then I was like, well, I mean, obviously there's no electricity there. Although I don't believe that either now. So, but yeah, the snake stew was gross looking, and I would have had to have passed. I would have just gone hungry for the night. However, everyone else was thrilled about this because, you know, it beats the hell out of another cube mallow, I suppose. So, just as everyone's digging in, of course, what happens? The snakes are alive. I actually wrote in here, the snakes are alive with the sound of music, which I thought it was funny, but that's just me at 10:30 at night, you know, after a long day. So one thing I thought was hilarious during this dinner scene, though, was Coco's Princess Leia hair, but I called it bootleg Princess Leia hair. I mean, I don't know how she went from that fried mess atop of that head last episode to now kind of, you know, where did this styling products come from? Did Michael Langdon bring them with him? So, of course, we have some of our witty banter going on when this is happening. Everyone's freaking out about the snakes, but Dinah comes in with her bumper sticker shit, and Nana Evie is serving up her one-hit wonders. Apparently, she had that in Kuala Lumpur before, and of course, Mr. Gallant is just rolling his eyes at his grandmother because we're going to soon find out that he really hates her guts. So, the teenage mutants right off the bat, it's like all of a sudden 18 months have gone by. Langdon, you know, flew in on his magic carpet, and they've suddenly grown the cojones to stand up to Venable and want to know what's going on, right? Like all of a sudden their questions are starting to come, and they're not scared to ask her, which I think is bold. And I don't know what gave them the impression that they could do that. You know, considering she walks a stern line around those parts, so. They want to know who's there. They want to know who's in Venable's office. You know, who is this guy? What does he mean? What news does he bring? And of course, she tells them that all answers do come in due time. So, what did you think about Venable's, you know, her whole attitude towards them questioning her and then wanting to know who was in her office, and what I would imagine would be the audacity of them to ask her what's going on.
I mean, they shouldn't be stepping to her, even though she's a fucking nut that made up her own rules.
That's true.
And honestly, I can't get past the thing we talked about after the last show that didn't make it into the last show, where I really need her to get out of the bunker so that they can do a song called Miss Venable. She alive, damn it.
It's a miracle. Yes. And if we get that, we have to have a Titus guest spot. I mean, it's not going to be complete without a post-apocalyptic Titus. I have to have that as well. So, and for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, of course, we're talking about The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, which is one of my favorite shows when I'm not knee deep in horror. So let's see. You know, Miriam is catching the mutants gossiping. She's seeing that they're kind of coming out of their cages a bit. They're kind of, you know, becoming more bold and not afraid to be seen together, which again, I think is pretty crazy considering they still don't know what's going on at all. Even though it's been 18 months, they still have no idea what the outside world is like, and all they know is Venable's, you know, life that she's made for them inside of Outpost number 3. You know, so the next scene I thought was funny considering we had the snake thing, which I think the whole snake thing is a call to Coven. So when we had season 3 of American Horror Story Coven, we know that snakes were a big part of the opening credits, and then they were definitely a staple like throughout the season as well. So I immediately got excited when I saw the snakes. I thought, okay, this is it. They're going to come in like hardcore first few episodes, and somehow they're going to start incorporating the witches like right away. I don't know if they're meant to be good, and I don't know if they're meant to be bad. I don't know if there's going to be a battle that they're going to fight. These are all things, obviously, that we have unanswered questions about, and I have a few theories, as I'm sure you do as well, as to what might go down in the near future. So,
I mean, my whole thing. Well, no, you know what? You're doing actual analysis about here's based on what's happening in the show, what I want to have happen, everything like that. Right now, I'm just like, where the fuck is Emma Roberts? And I can't get past it. Like, I don't care. Like, I got nothing.
Okay, so basically, I need to stop asking you for your opinions on anything until Emma Roberts graces us with her beauty, and then you'll start having more.
I'll still. Don't worry, I got you.
I know. Okay. One quick note about Coco's look. She's rocking the Medusa braids. I thought that was hilarious. Was
legit like a really good hairdo.
Yeah.
Like that's the best she's ever looked on any show.
Agreed. And I loved that it literally is a Medusa call to back. I mean, that's exactly what her head looked like with the snakes on it.
I should probably have done that with your hair. I assume it's super easy to do. Like, if you just do I can't do it because look what I got going on. There's nothing.
You have a shiny skull up there. I don't think
That's
you can
right.
work with much. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. For a special stream or a special video, I will try to. Okay, a Patreon special. I will try to give you the Medusa look. I cannot promise anything, and I cannot tell you that it will look good. So
yeah, that is actually true. We actually do have Patreon. It's patreon.com/gallery for all the Superficial Gallery stuff. It's this and Castle Rock Historical Society and all the movies that we make and that kind of thing. And if you have any questions to ask us and you can't make the live show, just hit superficialgallery@gmail.com and we will make sure that we answer you.
Yes, thank you. That is true. And if I do get enough, fanfare and asks for the Medusa hair, I will be obliged to provide you with that. So it'll be interesting and fun and well worth your time, I'm sure. So we get that, I want to say it's an ad hoc, cocktail post-dinner type meeting because I guess it's the next day. I did a rewind on this a few times because I thought that Coco had the exact same outfit on. She just had a Medusa hair, and I was thinking, wow.
I don't think they have that many purple frocks.
Well, that's exactly right. Yeah. Because then I started looking at, mainly I looked at Dinah and I was like, oh, she has on very different clothing. So no, this was the next day, assumedly. So, and with that, they do get to meet the elusive and illustrious Michael Langdon. Yeah. So, yeah, he comes in again with those locks flowing and those beautiful blue eyes just blaring. And
those beautiful blue eyes circled with red like he needs an emergency eye wash station.
Okay, well, when you're the Antichrist, you just got to have something red on. I mean, you just can't wear black every day.
That's true, too. I didn't think of that. That's a good call.
He has to don some red eyeshadow, okay?
Yeah, that's some fucking science you just did there, Mells.
So some interesting things that he said when he introduced himself, and he basically let the residents of Outpost 3 know what was going on. I found it interesting, the locations of the other outposts, because as we know, this outpost, we still don't know where its precise location is at, but we know that this is the only one left standing, or the only one that has been successful, as the others will probably not make it very much longer, which is why he's here in the first place.
I think it's in Minnesota.
Do you?
Yep, because they wear purple, and that's where Prince was from.
And the Vikings. I mean, that's the R.I.P. Prince. Okay, yeah. Okay, so it could be in Minnesota. I'd like to know what everyone's thoughts are on where this outpost is located.
Yeah, where in the U.S.? Because and you probably have it written down. The spots that they named were like all over the map, like literally all over the map.
They were all over the map, and they were
pretty obscure.
Exactly. They were not locations that you think of right off the top of your head as being somewhere that you want to house, people, I suppose, in the aftermath of a nuclear war. However, if they are, launching missiles at the bigger cities of these states that these outposts are located in, then this would make sense because they'd be far enough away from Syracuse, New York. It's where one was, and you can correct me on this because I know those are your stomping grounds, but that's far enough away, I think, from like New York City, right? Or Manhattan, or right, exactly. I can speak for Texas. I would think Austin or Dallas, somewhere like that. And Santa Rosa, I believe, San Angelo, excuse me, is far enough away that, that's where they could run and set up a fallout shelter, I'm assuming. And then Bleckley, West Virginia. I'm sorry if there are any West Virginians out there. Please let me know where this may be in, I don't know much about West Virginia. I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm sorry.
I know that it has mountain mamas.
That's true. It does. It does. And it has the Whites, which we all love that family. But
and I also think that that's where the new Fallout game is set. So that's
Oh,
3 West
really?
Virginia things.
I like it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
My homework after this podcast is to learn more about West Virginia and to learn more about exactly where Bleckley is at.
You're
And
gonna
if it
need
is,
to do a book report on that shit.
I have to give myself homework. Otherwise, I waste my time, and that's just never good. All right. So, and then we learned that the rest of these outposts were international outposts, which they don't go into detail about where they were at. I mean, I'm thinking of 6 major places internationally that they could probably be at. And I don't know if that's going to come up and be of any relevance at any point during the show. But it is interesting to know that they had 6 in international status, and then this would make what, 4 in the United States?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So my math is good tonight. I'm proud of myself. So one thing I found interesting was that immediately everyone in Outpost 3 thinks that Langdon is there to talk about what they're going to need if they're taken to the sanctuary, which would be repopulating the earth. And I found that to be odd because this was never really, I mean, I guess that would be your first thought. Well, if I'm the only last people left on earth, then we need to repopulate. But nothing about Outpost number 3 gives me the vibes that they want any kind of procreation going on, especially with their copulation rule.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would be the first thing that came to my mind, but of course
No.
that's what's on top of everyone's mind, and I think that's what they're going to try to have their end game being, to try to convince Langdon that they are able to repopulate this world if that's what is necessary. So,
well, I don't know the whole sex thing, and we're going to get into it, but the motivations behind Miss Venable and whatever she's trying to do with the sex pot doesn't make any sense, because if you're gay, that's the one time, oh yeah, no authorized, sex, because we don't want you having babies on accident. Well, hey,
that doesn't work
being
that
gay
way.
is a super bonus.
Exactly. I mean, as in reality, it plays in your favor because you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about making babies out of that. So they shouldn't have those restrictions, I wouldn't think. What I found funny also was when he started to talk and tell them, what was going on. I did call this the town hall. I thought that was funny. So he's called the town hall. They meet him.
That's
Venable,
legit.
Yeah, right. Outpost town hall. Miss Venable, she tries the happy face. But Langdon challenges to a staring contest, of which she loses immediately along with the happy face. Yeah, so he sees right through
shit
her.
On that one.
She sure did.
Like, move over there.
Yeah, like, get out of here. We don't want to know about. We don't want to deal with you right now. So he's basically, breaking down the 411. Miriam kind of jumps in here, and she demands to know what these security measures are that they're taking, for the sanctuary. And she wants to know, why weren't they told of them and things like this, which further kind of fuels my thoughts that they did know each other pre-nuclear attack or pre-missile attack. So Langdon pretty much shuts that shit down Negan style. He throws his hand up and that's classified, which I thought is hilarious. That's classified. You don't need to know that.
That happens a lot in the gallery meetings when you guys are like, why do we have to do this? Why? And then I'm just like, classified.
All right. So now I know what your end game is. So Andre wants to know, who's populating the sanctuary, which, again, I don't know why that's at the top of everyone's mind, especially Andre, who isn't into that lifestyle. His sexual orientation is not straight. So, again, he is told that's classified. I made a note that said, we've got to call in Mueller. We've got a new case for him. So hopefully he survived the blast, because if anybody can investigate and find out, I think it would be him. So Of course, comically enough, the questioning technique is called cooperating, which Venable gives a slight, I put look of disgust, but I almost think it was a look of how stupid or how corny can you be?
Yeah.
To call that cooperating.
I don't know. I think that, I could see that happening in a meeting. You know what I mean?
Course.
Like, hey, no, we're going to call it this. And everyone being like, that's good job, Trevor. That ties right in with what we're trying to do here.
Yes, coming from the consulting world, I will let you know that any buzzwords and things like that really gets the crowd excited. I'm from the cooperative, and we're going to do a line of questioning called cooperating. Now, who's with me? And that's when you're supposed to get the scattered applause and woohoos, But of course, everyone's too scared to do that. Thank you. Thank you.
Quiet, Daryl. Don't by the way, in the chat, Jackie Torrance said that Beckley is in southern West Virginia, which doesn't help me at all because I don't know. The only thing I do in West Virginia is when I drive from Charlotte to New York, I drive through West Virginia for like 10 minutes.
What is the proximity, if you may know? Again, I'm terrible with a map. I think I proved that to y'all last week when I didn't know that Santa Monica is not very far from LA. What's the proximity, I'm wondering, to DC on that?
Oh,
far away.
I don't know. What is it? Someone in the chat, map it up because I got a lot of shit to pay attention to here.
Map it up.
I didn't realize there was going to be a bunch of geography questions.
I'm sorry. Someone in the chat, I would give you a gold star if you let me know the proximity to DC on that. Okay, take your time. We've got a while. So, of course, Mr. Gallant, he is the first to volunteer, as this is no surprise to me. Langdon is a beautiful man, and I'm sure that Mr. Gallant was eager and willing and ready to be the first one to get interrogated by Mr. Langdon. So, so it cuts to them and their questioning, and of course, he wants to know about Mr. Gallant, and he wants to know about his anger, which, as we learn when he questions Miss Venable, about some of her, thoughts and things going on in her mind, I think it's interesting what he's trying to pull out of everyone in Outpost Number 3. And I think, obviously, the other residents will be getting this, as the episodes continue. Sexual orientation, he's gay. However, he has had, he's not a gold star. He has been with a female, and he doesn't know female mechanics. He's not sure if it was pleasurable for her, but he can.
Well, that also could just be because he's a guy.
Well, in general. And and so he's confident. Again, I don't understand why they keep, driving this in the ground. He's capable of repopulating if necessary. Of course, Langdon, cuts him off with the snap of a finger, and he tells him they have methods of harvesting, genetic materials, and they can repopulate whenever they're ready. That's not what he's interested in knowing about each of these people in this outpost. So he wants to know his anger. He draws out, and I think at times in the first episode, I kind of could see where Mr. Gallant was frustrated with his Nana, but I didn't know that there would be full-blown rage or hate towards her, especially because he saved her. I mean, he could have.
Yeah, why? If he hated her so much, why?
Exactly. I mean, he could have gone to that private jet, and he could have gotten the hell out of there, and he could have let her incinerate with everyone else, I mean, it makes me wonder, especially as we'll learn very soon when he goes into his story on why he hates his Nana, there's no money in it for him. I mean, she's donated all of her money to a cat charity already in her will, so he's not getting anything from her, which I find to be hilarious.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because this whole "is it all bullshit" thing, if they're just saying, hey, we're just going to put these people in this fucking house and fuck with them, You know what I mean? For whatever reasons we have, which also wouldn't make any sense because it wasn't the people that they intended it for it, intended for it to be.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So that's one of those things that if they do that reveal later on, you're going to be like, well, what the fuck did you take the hairdresser for? Exactly. And not for nothing, why is he a purple and the personal assistant has to be a gray? None of that makes any goddamn sense either.
I agree 100%. That was definitely something that was in my mind, because once you start really looking into this and you start processing the information that you get as the episode goes on, that you start to think, well, Coco's family obviously paid for these 4 spots on this private jet. What, so did they have a tie to the cooperative in any kind of way? Was there some kind of pre-existing or relationship that was already there that they knew about? I mean, there had to be, because they've secured these spots to living through an apocalypse, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And when mom and dad and brother get wiped out, well, then these 3 ragtags come along that really, how do you put them in social classes? I mean, Mallory, she's
especially if you only have 2.
Exactly. I mean, Mallory, she's her personal assistant. I suppose that's how they doled her out to the Greys. But Mr. Venable and Mr. Venable. I have this in now. I have that song on repeat in my mind. Damn you, Mr. Gallant and his grandmother. I mean, she obviously didn't know about this and didn't secure any spots in the apocalypse.
Yeah, she didn't even know what the fuck it was.
Exactly. So why do they immediately get to be purples and be part of the elite? Is it just because they took those tickets? I have a lot of questions. Listen, I've got a running doc here of questions and potential theories. So we can definitely gnaw on that later, because there's a lot there to gnaw on. So let's see. I do like this. Suddenly Mr. Gallant isn't so gallant, because, I mean, obviously, if you know the definition of that word, he's not being very gallant. See what I did there? So anyway, he recalls the suburban gay dinner parties that his grandmother used to throw with people he called dipshits, which he described them as, guys that thought they would be able to hook him and hook her money. That's where we find out that she's donated all of her financial, money and all of that to this cat charity, which I didn't even know. I can feel that. Yeah, I didn't even know that she was an animal lover. So, Mr. Gallant, bless his heart, he kind of tries to come on to, well, no, he doesn't kind of try to. He comes on to Michael, because I think he's thinking that, all right, if it's not going in this other direction, maybe he wants something different from me, or I can convince him to give me a spot in the sanctuary through, sexual favors or advancements or whatever. And just like that, the interview is over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Michael he's not interested in that.
No, he shut that shit right down.
Yeah.
Do you think that his questions had anything to do with anything, or is he just piping shit?
No, I think, well, given we already know who Michael Langdon is, obviously, but these people in Outpost 3 don't. I mean, we know that he is the spawn of, spirit and human, and that is what causes the end of time, right? The end of days.
Mm-hmm.
I really brushed up on my Murder House, and I binged it. And so I've got a lot of fresh, Murder House stuff in my mind here. But that is something that Billy did say to Constance when she told her that Tate had impregnated Vivian. So we know already what he is and probably what he's here to do, quote unquote, on the surface. These people have no idea. So I think he knows more than they think he does, especially since he mentioned it to him about, maybe I have a file on you, maybe I know everything about you, maybe I don't know anything and I'm bullshitting you, and I'm just getting you to tell me what this is. What makes me not believe that part, though, is that he knew to focus in on his anger or his rage.
Right.
You know, it's like that was obviously the center of what's going on in his mind or in his life, or what fuels him to an extent, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
I know I'm made of like 95% rage.
I'm not. I'm made of like butterflies and rainbows.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Only if they're getting eaten by, you know, a dragon or something. So anyway, you know, the interview is over, and then for some reason, back to the mutants. I've got a lot of questions on Emily and who she is and what maybe she's different than everybody else.
You mean different in why she was chosen?
Yes.
I thought she was just a good genetic sample.
Well, I did too, but you know, I rewatched episode 1 and they never really did confirm that she was in that bunker with Timothy because of any kind of, you know, genetic makeup or super DNA or whatever.
Okay.
And the reason I say this is because she's kind of the one that started to be ballsy, if that makes sense. She's the one that's wanting to know who's in Venable's office. She's the one that's telling Timothy, hey, what's going on with this guy? We can totally snoop in his room. No big deal. You know, it's like, what gives you the thought process to think that that's okay?
Right.
And what's he going to do to us? Well, he can do a lot to you based on what you should only know about what's going on in Outpost number 3. So I got suspicions of her, and I got these kind of weird vibes off of her this episode. So I'm interested to know what her real purpose is there. And of course, they do break into the
laptop.
The laptop that has Wi-Fi and has a full battery.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think of that part. Yeah. I didn't even think of, holy shit. I was too busy thinking about they have email to wonder how they fucking got the email and how the thing was charged up.
Yeah, so he's got a charged, you know, Mac, and he's getting emails, and he even sent to Venable information as recent as, you know, yesterday or the day before.
Yeah.
So that means somebody else. Yeah, well, that means somebody else has it. So we'll get into that though, because this my favorite. Well, gosh, I shouldn't say favorite, but it is the chilling parts. One of my top 5 moments of the episode is we did get the rubber band man. That's what I call him. You could call him rubber suit guy.
You call him rubber band man?
Yeah. For some reason, when I saw him, immediately I got that Spinners song in my head, you know, prepare yourself for the rubber band.
Yeah, well, yeah, now I can't not think that. God damn it.
Sorry, you're all welcome for that. But
that's what I get. Well, that's what you get. It's payback for Miss Venable, I guess, then.
Yeah, there you go. Take that and keep that in your mind for the rest of the episode. So, yeah, prepare yourself for the rubber band man. Of course, burning question. Is it Tate? And I racked, and this is why I watched the episode so many times and why I actually decided to go back and binge Murder House. I can't put my mind thought, or I can't wrap my mind around. What are you laughing at?
Mind thought.
You know, it's the same thing. Thought process. You know, this thing that's up here that does a lot of thinking, I can't wrap it around how that could be Tate. And I guess this is where I start wondering where this outpost is. Okay? Because who else would be the rubber band man?
I mean, but you said that the ghost couldn't leave Murder House. When we talked about this in chat.
Exactly. The ghost cannot leave Murder House. Even after binging it and rewatching it, there were, when I don't know if you recall, there was this one like real skeezy guy that wanted to come in, just basically make apartment complexes out of, the murder house, and then they kind of took care of him. He became part of it. No, I don't think he expired on the premises, but they took care of him, to say the least. They can't leave the house. Even if the house gets demolished, unless someone uncovers the bones.
They're stuck on the property.
They're stuck, yes.
But if somebody moved the bones, then they could be wherever they wanted.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right.
So you're going with me on this thought process because I saw some pics of upcoming, maybe like sneak pictures, and I'm having a technical difficulty. 1 second.
Hey, everybody. While there's other stuff going on, because unfortunately we don't have a fancy studio and we actually have to do stuff in our regular lives. Not me, because I don't have a life or any responsibilities. I guess I'll just let Mells do what she's doing, and I'll ask the chat while this is going on. Why don't you all tell me what your favorite thing about Madison Montgomery from Coven is? Oh, there's Dame Meow. She just showed up just in time to tell me how great Emma Roberts is and basically sing her praises, I think. Because I think out of all the characters, other than, what was her name? Queenie? The one who died in Hotel. I think she was my favorite witch.
I'm back. So Queenie was your favorite witch?
No, other than Madison.
Well, yeah, obviously other than her.
Yeah. Queenie was definitely my favorite witch.
Sorry about that, y'all. I did, I had a little, I have a very old Mac, and it did a weird pop-up, and I was like, and I lost some feed there. So
you're fine.
Okay, sorry, y'all. Sorry. The ghosts can't leave unless someone digs up the bones, and that is what will release them from the house. Okay, so now that sneak picture preview thing that I came across on the internet while I was obsessing over, what's going to happen this season.
Right.
There is, and it does feature your scrawny goddess. It is a shot of her at Murder House under what would have been the gazebo. It looks like it is pre-apocalypse, okay, because things aren't looking like the nuclear winter that we know of now.
Right.
And she has a messload of bones that she has uncovered. Yeah. So if I find that photo, I will share it with everyone when I do the recap, because it's interesting to think about how long has this been known and who all's known about it, and what's been the backstory towards what we're working at and what we're seeing right now, right?
Yeah. I mean, if I were going to figure out a way how to harness the power of ghosts, I would definitely want those, because like most ghosts are just like, oh, it's this lady that died in a fucking factory, and now she just, once in a while, you can see her looking out the window sadly. Like, that's not a ghost you want on your team. No. This ghost, on the other hand, will punch you in the nuts and then kill you. Mm-hmm. That's the ghost I want.
We need the hard hitters from Murder House. Yeah. Okay? I don't want to see the Black Dahlia. I don't want to see the...
No, what's she going to do? She can't run after you.
No. And I definitely don't want to see the male version of the Dahlia they made, which I'm going to do a sidebar here. If you watch The Young and the Restless, which is my favorite soap opera, you would recognize that actor as the beloved Danny, which is Phyllis's son, on The Young and the Restless. Okay, I digress. I will get back on track here. So, we don't need them. I don't want to see Hayden. I don't, I mean, like, there are people I don't want to see. Lily Rabe is coming back, but she is not reprising the Montgomery role. She's coming back as Misty Day. So she's coming back on the Coven side.
Yeah, she could bring people back from the dead, right?
Yeah, yes, she can. She bought your scrawny goddess. No, wait, that was That was Cordelia. But she can come back from the dead, and she can bring people from the dead, because it didn't work for her. It didn't work for her when your scrawny goddess, as you like to call her, tried to off her in the cemetery. So anyways, that's the whole nother conversation. We won't get into what all happened during Coven today. And I do have something that I want to know if anyone else had this mental picture, but I had a huge mental picture of two Evan Peters going at it. Which I think some people might like the idea of. So again, this rubber band man that we're seeing now in this outpost, he seems a lot more aggressive than Tate was. Now, Tate was aggressive in the suit, and it was for a reason. Obviously, he wanted to have that baby in the house, and he wanted to please Miss Montgomery. But it wasn't like he was by design, as soon as he put on the suit, aggressive. It was like, okay, I have to put on the suit, and I have a suit, and I have to be aggressive because this is my end goal, right?
Right.
This person that, even if it is Tate or what's going on, this is an aggressive person. And I know that everyone's first thought was it's Michael Langdon, right?
Yeah.
He's rolled into the room. He picked up on those advancements, and he thought, okay, maybe I'll do it, because he is seen coming out of his office. That's when the mutants go in there and they figure out that the Wi-Fi still exists in this world that's supposed to be gone. But we realize it's not,
Right.
And Nana Evie, of course, catches her sweet grandson that she also apparently hates as well. It's mutual. It's a mutual feeling between the two of them, apparently. And she runs right to Miriam, and she tells on him. And I think it's in the hopes of him, being murdered, and that being one less person that she has to worry about taking a spot at the sanctuary with, right?
Yeah.
Because Nana Evie is in it for Nana Evie and no one else. So Miriam, she seems a bit put off by it, but I didn't get any rage from her, like what we thought the sins of unauthorized copulation would bring you, right? Like,
right.
It didn't seem like anybody was going to kill him. Now they did rigorously, question him, but apparently he likes to be whipped, and with every lash, he was screaming out one of our iconic gay actors and men of the 70s and 80s, which I thought was hilarious. So, especially Rip Taylor. I don't know why. I just thought that was humorous. So, yeah, Rubber Man, man raises questions for me. Yeah. Langdon leaves, the Teenage Mutants enter. Oh, okay, so here's when we go back to that. And they pull up an email and they read it, and there's a mole in the hole. There's someone that's in that outpost that is telling Michael Langdon what Venable is doing. Now, immediately my first thought was Miriam. We already know there's an established relationship between them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or that's what we're assuming. And this mole is telling him everything that Venable is doing and how this outpost is being run. So it's almost like when he's questioning her, obviously he already knows, and he knows that she's bullshitting him when she's lying, and giving her lame excuses.
You think, though? You think that Miriam would rat out Venable?
No, I don't think it's Miriam at all.
Oh. Well, then who else? There's no one else that actually works there that they ever show. The snake cooker?
The snake cooker. The cooperative agent that shall not be named. She has no name. No, I don't think it's her either, but I think it's one of our players.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
I'll buy that.
Honestly,
for all we know, there's cameras and shit in the place.
That is true, too. Yep. That's true. And it just, the way the email was worded, though, it was almost like, unless he has a personal secretary that's, watching these cameras and then typing up notes and sending them to him, just for some reason in my mind, I'm thinking that it's somebody that's in the outpost. I don't think it's Miriam. I think that she's a red herring as far as like, we want to believe it's her because we think there might have been an established relationship there. But I think that her relationship with Venable supersedes that. So, but we'll see how that comes about. So
you think, actually, I'm going to jump back for a minute, even though I'm the one that's supposed to make the show go faster, but here I am making it go slower. Do you think it's significant, Venable's rickety back?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, it's going to play into anything?
Well, we already know what it plays into about who she is as a person, because when Michael pays her a visit, and the first thing that he does and I didn't even realize this would be an interrogation on her, which I think it was an impromptu, and it wasn't like his plans of the real cooperation technique, that he did with Mr. Gallant. I think that he went to her and the conversation started off as, tell me about these people here. Tell me what you know. She starts to name off, of course, all the bad traits in everyone, etc.
Right.
But he does the same thing that he does with Mr. Gallant. And he says, what is the shame? You're shameful. What is it that is carrying this shame for you, right? And then that's when he unzips her dress and we see that she's got, I'm assuming scoliosis or some form of it.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think my medical term was rickety back, but yeah, it's probably something a little more specific.
Well, I'm going to be honest about what my first thought was, and then I told myself, no, you can't think that. It's obviously scoliosis. I thought it was scurvy. But she does look like a pirate. But that's a malnourished people. I mean, that's what scurvy is, right? Pirates would get, and people at sea would get scurvy because they're malnourished.
Right. That's true.
Anyways, this is my mind. Like I tell you, like I pull it all into these big ideas. So anyway.
Hey, I'm a fan of your mind thoughts.
My mind thoughts. These are what they are.
Thoughts.
I imagined scoliosis, though, which would explain why she walks with the cane. At first, I thought the cane was some type of power play or device, like, hey, I'm intimidating with a cane type thing, and I beat it on the ground, and everybody knows what to do and by how many knocks I give it. But I saw a little bit more of a vulnerable side of her, which kind of, I still think that she's a black hole of a person, but I'm starting to kind of see what maybe brought her to what her behavior is. I mean, Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I was agreeing with you, but I also don't want to lose because the chat's kind of going a little faster now, and I don't want to lose like the thing about Damiao, who came storming in late.
Hey, girl.
Yeah, we appreciate you. She said that she thinks that the witches already know what's going on in that outpost, and it was them who sent the snakes.
Agreed. 100%, Dame.
Oh.
I told you that in the beginning, Acadia. Did you listen to me?
I thought I was.
I think the snakes, because they're a trademark of the coven, came from the coven. And while we're on that, we can go ahead and jump ahead a little bit and talk about the other reason I think that the coven already knows what's going on and that they're already into it was, I mean, what song did we get at the end of the episode?
I'm in a bottle.
No, we didn't.
That wasn't at the end?
That was at the end, but then we got, and then the record changed, and it was...
What did it change to?
Fleetwood Mac.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Stevie Nicks, which we know she was in Coven. She was like, one of the main witches. So
what it was, Gold Dust Woman?
It was Gold Dust Woman, yes. So that's what the episode closed out on, was that song. So that's why I got super excited.
You want to respect Fleetwood Mac, considering they wrote all those really good songs while they were all drugged up to the fucking moon and all banging and breaking up with each other every 2 seconds. Like, that's a stressful situation.
No, that's the core of a good group. Okay.
I don't know.
That's how you get good music.
Fine.
That's why Fleetwood Mac is forever, like, they're immortal. You know, their music is going to always be the best music, you know, no matter what
Stevie
generation.
Nicks is immortal because she's 75% cocaine.
Yes. Let's get back on track.
All right,
anyway, you know, so Langdon frees Gallant after they, you know, give him his questioning, and they're convinced that they don't know. Well, she thinks they know each other. She tells Miriam later, Venable, she thinks that they know each other and that they are in on it together, which we all know that I do not believe that at all. Right. I don't think Mr. Gallant knows that he's got more than one brain cell in his head at a time. So, you know, he comes on to him again, and I'm like, dude, the guy is not interested in you. And he then pretty much breaks it down for him that he's not interested in him. And if he were, you know, interested in copulation or anything like that, he would be the last guy that he would ever, you know, consider it, even if he's the last guy on earth. So, Nana, let's see, Landon writes out Nana and manages to continue destroying Gallant in the process. So he basically tells Gallant all of the things that, you know, his Nana thinks of him. It's really brings out his insecurities, right? And kind of feeds that rage that we saw earlier in the episode. Then we did get Time in a Bottle, and I do love that song. And I won't go off on my tangent about that song.
It's a good song.
Well, not a bad tangent, but a tangent on that song and Evan Peters.
Oh, you can.
Okay, because I didn't even have to wait and read this the next morning because I'm a huge X-Men fan. And so immediately, we all know that Evan Peters, or if you don't know, now you do, he plays Quicksilver in the X-Men franchise right now. And he had the very infamous scene of him, you know, making his time manipulation to the song Time in a Bottle. So... that was a nice little nod for me, too. I wrote, God, I love this song. Then Nana goes in on Gallant when he wants to know why he doesn't like her. She tells him all of the stints in rehab, the jail stints. Granddaddy didn't like him. The bankrupted salons and the apparent cocaine issue. The teenage mutants are ready to mutate, which I keep saying they're ready to copulate. But not without a visit from the Rubber Band Man, which, honestly, that did creep me out.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
He's totally like Spider-Man.
Yeah, because we didn't even mention this, but he was also on the ceiling when they were in there stupid on the MacBook. So there's a mole in the hole, there's a man on the ceiling. Which is the Rubber Band Man. So, but it's almost like he was images in his like how you would see a murder house sometimes because they're ghosts. They would be right. Like 1 minute they're there, the next minute they're not, and then they're there again. Like that's kind of the feeling I got with the way that the scene was shot. You know, with the Rubber Band Man this time. Like, was he really there? I don't know. Like, did they see him and then he was gone? You know, was he actually there kind of like creeping in and being all like weird to watch them you know, try to do their thing? Who knows?
And if you're a ghost, why do you have to hang on to stuff? Like, why couldn't he just been floating up there?
I know. Yeah, and that raised my next question was how many of these Rubber Band Men are there in this outpost? I don't know. There could be more than one. You never know. Because he seems to be in every room.
Well, yeah, but that's why I do that all the time when I can't, with my many appearances that I have to make across the country, I often have to have somebody else wear the mask and you know.
Your cape stress has to make a new cape for them too?
Yep, that's right. That's why I always look so like I'm different heights depending on what show I'm at.
I love it. So yeah, and I said Stevie Nicks in the building in the Coven sense, that is. So those were the two big references or callbacks to Coven that I had from the episode. The snakes, and then we got Gold Dust Woman, which we all know is, Stevie Nicks, and she was in Coven. And the murder house stuff that we got was obviously the Rubber Band Man, but we don't know who he is. We don't know if it is Tate Langdon or if it is someone else, which I have to think would be very odd for, like, his son, and he's, like, doing the dirty with his son in the room, but they were all messed up. So whatever. It's just kind of creeps me out a little bit. So, here comes the copulation punishment. Miriam, don't put up with no shit. And then we have, Nana, Evie, R.I.P. We knew the budget didn't call for a whole season of Joan Collins anyway. So, Tate, excuse me. Mr. Gallant does end up murdering his grandmother, although he, in his mind, in his vision, he thinks it's the Rubber Band Man for some reason. Yep. So, and then we come to the mutants being thrown into, I thought, the shower, the place where they did the shower scene last week. And they're going to obviously get their punishment. And Timothy wrangles away the gun and shoots Miriam. And then the agent who shall not be named then does, I called it a tomahawk choke. I'm not really sure what she did to him, but she obviously knocked him out, which made me wonder, is he dead? I mean, like, did she snap his neck? I'm not sure,
She was in Freak Show.
She was the tall lady. Well, obviously. Yeah, she was the really tall lady. So Miriam is shot, and she's not human.
She's a host.
She is a host. Is she contaminated? She's gross. I know that. And she's oozing. I was not expecting that. That was a huge, obviously, and it's meant to be a revelation for this season. She acts like she's a normal person. And I know that you're referring to Westworld when you say a host.
Yeah.
So some people may not realize that, Acadia. Okay. But yeah,
I think everybody does.
So it was gross though. I paused it and I actually watched, or I actually took a look at what was going on there, and it was like almost like she looked like what the horses did. Because if you remember when she went out there and took care of Langdon's horses, like some of their, like insides were showing on parts of their bodies and stuff like that too. So
true.
What is she?
I don't know, but it explains how she was able to drag the horses like that, because she's robot strong.
Well, we did get the feeling that she was superhuman last week. That's for sure, because, she threw 2 horses in the underbrush like nobody's business. And now it's pretty much confirmed that she is not.
She a straight up robot.
Human. But she's not a robot, though.
I don't know. If you have milk for blood, that makes you a robot.
Oh, God. Yeah, I did make a note that I would never look at milk the same again. That was just disgusting for me. But I don't know what she is. I don't know.
Well, we're going to find out. She also could be... Oh, I am echoing. Can you hear me echo?
No, is it me echoing?
No, I think I'm echoing through your mic.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Wait. Oh, it stopped.
Yeah, I don't hear it.
Oh, all right. Well, good. Good job fixing it. She could either A, be a robot, which I don't know why, but then again, if you can make a plane that can take off and land without a pilot, then probably making a person robot's not a terrible leap. If you're going to invent extraordinary technology in this version of the world. The other possibility is she's not really a robot, but she is an animated something because of the witches. You know, like a golem.
Yeah, that is true. And that's where I'm wondering, is she a part of the witches, or is she a part of the Langdon movement? I don't know.
If she's a golem, which is just the golem is a being that can get brought to life. It's kind of like a Frankenstein, but not really. You can make it out of anything, but she'd be a sophisticated one. But you need to be able to do magic to make one. Right. If she was a golem, then she would be a perfect spy for the witches. And then there's no conflict between her ratting out Venable and being friends with Venable, because she was a long-term spy. But then again, she also said she had a backstory, so maybe she's been a golem for like years and years and years. And I don't even want to get into that whole nonsense that I got dragged on with Castle Rock with Hannah Selector. And by the way, if you want to watch the show Castle Rock on Hulu, you can listen to the Castle Rock Historical Society episode by episode, where we bring you through it. But
and I will do a plug here. That is an amazing podcast.
Yay!
Yeah.
Thanks. So I'm going to go with, and I'm just saying this now, I am going to go with, people aren't just making up a bunch of lies and we don't know who to believe and blah, 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 because American Horror Story is not that fucking subtle.
Exactly. Right? This isn't Castle Rock in the way of we have to somehow figure out the story itself, as in, like, we know what we've been given and we know what to expect with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we know there's supernatural elements, and we know the rules that go along with the American Horror Story game, you know. So it's different than Castle Rock. I don't think it's as theory laden. However, with this being a crossover between two seasons, I can't help but wonder if it's going to lean that way. I don't know. This is just me rambling about, you know, I want to make a theory out of everything because that's how my mind is programmed.
You don't have to shoot a mind thought at this one yet. The fact is that I'm just saying, the fact that she said that she was, you know, did this in the military and everything like that, I'm just gonna say yes, Miriam did all that shit, whether she was a golem when she did it or she was alive when she did it and then got reanimated as a golem, and her blood replaced with milk. I don't know. I don't care. We'll just find out. But I think now it's likely that maybe she was the traitor because she wasn't a real person.
You're right. I guess, gosh, I want to believe they wouldn't hand us something like that on a golden platter like that. I mean, like, it's episode 2, right? And I would hope that they wouldn't already off the bat be like, well, I'm fixing to reveal to everyone that there's a mole in Outpost 3.
Well, yeah, but they didn't. That's just me, like, trying to spin it forward. You know what I mean? They didn't do anything overt to think that. I'm just thinking, you know, we know that somebody ratted them out. We know there has to be a way that they knew that was going on.
Right.
We know that Miriam was legit friends with Venable.
Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah,
you know what I mean? That's all.
Yeah. No, yeah, you're right. So, and that would be also something that fit into what we did see slightly in Coven with Evan Peters' character.
Right.
They did that with him.
Yep.
You know,
That's true.
But he was less functioning. And I don't know if that just was brain capacity or if they've been able to get more sophisticated with with what they are able to do with them once they bring them back. Because he was pretty, like, brain dead, right? He didn't have a lot going on.
There wasn't a lot going in there.
Yeah, so bless his heart.
But he didn't have special milk blood.
No, he didn't.
So maybe that was the missing piece. Oh, by the way, the I I missed something else in the chat. It was way farther up, but it was when we were talking about the ghosts and how they get away from the murder house and everything like that. And Damiao pointed out that the only exception to that rule is Halloween. Everybody can go anywhere they want.
Okay. Yes, exactly. The only day of the year, obviously, that they can leave the murder house is on Halloween.
Right.
So that lends to, thank you, that's a very good point, because that would lend to the question of what's the date, I guess you could say. You know?
Yep.
So what date are we looking at right now? I mean, it's not, I can't say Halloween day forever, you know, but.
No, that's true.
And what has happened pre-apocalypse by the coven that could have, you know, put in play the powerhouses from Murder House being able to come, you know.
Oh. Yeah, that's true. Because there's two ways now. They could all come on Halloween, or if Madison dug up all the bones and had them in a bag. That's pretty dope.
I did want to say something about because I did come in after I was having that computer issue. Sorry again. About you saying Queenie, the human voodoo doll, which I'm excited to see her. And her character did come back in Hotel, and she was murdered. Well, what we think she was, right? Because after, I think he was J.P. March, Evan Peters' character, which was basically H.H. Holmes, but he stabbed her, and she, you know, the last shot we saw was her on the bed bleeding out. But did she die? Because in the whole point of being the human voodoo doll, I thought, was that you couldn't feel pain and you didn't bleed. Because if you would think back to Coven, when she was messing with Madison at the dinner table and she was stabbing her hands and everything, she wasn't bleeding. And then after, you know, they kind of came into their harmonious existence, but Cordelia's ex-husband came in and shot up, you know, the salon and everything. And Queenie shot herself. Spoilers, I'm sorry for anyone who hasn't watched this.
No!
But she put the gun in her mouth and she pulled the trigger, but it actually killed, you know, Cordelia's husband, her ex-husband. So, those were questions I had, though, from the Hotel season, because I was a little confused as to why they would bring the Queenie. We know it was the Queenie into that mix, and we see all of this, but she's not trapped by the hotel. We don't ever see her again.
Right.
Because the hotel is almost kind of like the murder house, right? Like you get trapped in the hotel and you can't leave.
Yeah. I like to think that, like we mentioned last week, that the all of LA is just a complete smoking, flattened nuclear pancake, except for the Cortez and the murder house.
True.
That would be neat.
Those would be two places, obviously, that could withstand that. I mean, the witches could enchant their home, and it could not be affected by a nuclear missile.
Yep.
And the Cortez is indestructible. I mean, you know. And that's why originally I thought, is this outpost built on Murder House? But I don't think it is, and I don't think it can be, because it wouldn't have taken 2 weeks to get these teenage mutants over to a place in LA, because they were in LA.
It also would have been they trick them by taking off and then just doing a big circle and landing again.
And that was another thing. I was like, and then with the whole, you know, plane thing, I mean, I know that they're a pretty inept bunch on there, but I would think that at least Mallory would have been able to see if they just did a big circle or, like, you know, float around the sky until they were able to land somewhere. Right. Which I am curious about. I made a note of that too. I'm curious to know, in that 2 weeks before they brought the mutants to the outpost, what was going on.
Yeah. The complex staging area.
Yeah. 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 Now the Fallout shelter, you know, that Venables said it was, obviously it's ornate and it was a reformed all boys school. And we had the questions last week, what kind of, you know, all boys school would be underground or have any part underground? And I'm wondering if it's where Michael was schooled.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because the thing about Michael is this, when Murder House ended and they showed him with Constance 3 years later and he had murdered his nanny,
right?
You looked at that child, it was like a 6 or 7 year old child.
Yes. So, well, part of that's just TV stuff, but I also think part of it is he's accelerated.
No, he's definitely accelerated because I don't think Vivian went full term with those kids.
No.
Like, I think she had
that's true.
Yeah, like the babies were growing because in rewatching this, obviously, you know, a lot of these things have popped back up in my mind, but when she went in for that ultrasound and it was the whole back and forth about how far along are you really, because these are really big babies, you know.
Right.
So we know that he ages very quicker than others. I do have a couple of things, though, that I think were really cool when I was researching things about Michael and researching things about Revelations, which would be the apocalypse or the end of the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the whole thing about him being the Antichrist and what is supposed to actually happen in biblical terms after a nuclear attack or something like this. Now, the definition from the ancient Greek, is it myth? Anyways, from the ancient Greek, they defined apocalypse as a meaning of uncovering. So it is a disclosure of knowledge or revelation. To me, that doesn't really scream the end of something. It's almost like, obviously, the book is called Revelations. It is about the apocalypse or the end of the world. But it's a revelation into a new society or what happens after that, instead of what we kind of are trying to think of, where it's the ending of everything, right?
Right.
So what made me think of that was when Miss Venables said they're actually at the beginning and not the end, when she brought the mutants in. You know, when they were like, "Oh, you bought us for the end," and she was like, "No, it's the beginning."
Well, it would be the beginning of the new world,
right? Yes.
You know, so yeah, that is true. And then Damiao said, "Oh, that reverb is back." Oh no, it went away again. So weird. It's like one of those floaters in my eye. As soon as I try to look at it, it's gone. All right. So Damiao said, just a thought, if Michael is the Antichrist, does that change the basic rules? Is there something about the dead rising? She needs a Catholic. Well, here I am. And I can tell you that the Catholic interpretation, actually, here's a little 2-second religious breakdown of things.
Yes, let's have this.
Yes. Everything about what anybody considers the Bible is based on a set of material that was gathered over centuries. And then everybody got together and they decided what was going to be in their Bible and what wasn't. Mm-hmm. And so the Jews were like, yeah, we're going to stop at, you know, everything before Jesus came around, because while we think Jesus was a cool guy, we don't think he was the Messiah that the prophet told us, you know, we're going to get. So they're still waiting. So so I always talk about that with Mrs. Ack, because she's Jewish. So she's either one Messiah behind or I'm one ahead. So we kind of have all our bases covered that way.
I like that.
But as far as the Catholics and the Protestants go, they had sort of a harder thing to do, because they had to say, okay, this was old enough. So the words were written long enough ago for them to qualify to be part of the Bible.
Right.
We have to believe that they were inspired by God, and they have to fit with what we're trying to say with this Bible. And that last part is where all the fuckery comes around.
Right.
So, and the best example of it that I can give is, depending on the Bible that you read, there are two complete and separate creation stories, and there are two complete and separate Adam and Eve stories. There's the one where God separates the waters and makes the land, and that was written while the Jews were in Babylon, which was a floodplain. And then the other ones where everything was a desert and God makes it rain, and that was when they were big surprise in the desert.
Yeah.
And the Jews had a big fucking problem because they had to fight against all these pantheistic religions, you know, with it polytheistic and having a bunch of gods. So they had to make their God better than everybody.
Right.
Where it comes up in the New Testament is there's shit that gets left in and taken out, because if you're a religion that wants to say the shit in the Bible really happened, you can't have two stories.
Right.
So they take one out. And in Revelation, there's a lot. So everything about the Antichrist and blah, 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 and everything like that, depending on how you look at the Bible, is the Bible a bunch of information that's supposed to teach us lessons and give us guideposts on how we're supposed to live our life? Or is it a list of shit that actually happened and is going to happen?
Right.
The fun part of Revelation is everything that we're dealing with here, and the Omen movies and all that kind of stuff, that, oh, there's going to be an Antichrist and he's going to be really cool and everyone's going to love him, but then in Swerve, he's bad, and there's going to be all these fights and everything like that. Whereas and this is kind of the Catholic view of it, no, they were talking about Nero, and the Antichrist was Nero Caesar, the Roman emperor,
right,
who was persecuting the shit out of the Christians at the time.
Right.
And there's actually some type of, the way they used the language that they used, there was a numeric equivalent for letters, and Nero's name comes out to 666. And that's what that all was.
Right.
So if you're going to take it as boring Catholic way, then it doesn't mean anything. If you're going to look at it the cool everybody else way, then the Antichrist is going to have dead people on his side. Because at the end, it's all fucking bets are off, and everyone's going to fight everybody, and it's going to be like, you know, I don't know, Shaq is going to have to fight
LeBron.
No, he's gonna have to fight like Errol Flynn or something like that. Like, everything's gonna be all mixed up and everything like that. And Henry VIII is gonna have to arm wrestle, I don't know, Usher or something like it's just gonna be a giant throwdown.
Well, I'd pay to see both those things. So
yeah. And Damia's basic question was, are the dead stuck based on Catholic rules? And the answer to that is no. Except that sort of yes, because they're stuck in, there's only three places you go if you're dead. You either go to heaven, hell, or purgatory, which is the big waiting room.
Yep.
So the only people that could be ghosts would be people in purgatory.
Exactly, which is what your house is.
Yeah. So if that's what it is, then there's no biblical rule about ghosts being stuck.
Right.
Because as far as they're concerned, Earth to them is where they're stuck, because they're not in heaven and they're not in hell. So it doesn't really matter if you're in fucking Iowa or, you know, Corsica. You're still not where you wanted to be or intended to be.
Exactly. Exactly. And I mean, not to keep going back to, you know, Murder House, but it's funny because once Addie dies and she perishes before she gets to the house,
right?
And she actually has gone over, you know, to the spiritual world, and she's not stuck. It's funny what she says to Constance through Billy is she's glad that she didn't get stuck in that house because of what Tate really is. And I don't think it's just because he was a disturbed child that hated his family and needed help and didn't get the help he needed and then committed a, massacre. I don't think that's what it is. I think it's got something to do with his birthright, and I think it's got something to do with Constance. Because in my readings, and I don't think these are spoilings, I think these are things that we know are going to happen, is Jessica Lange is only coming back for one episode, and it's going to be episode 6, I believe. So we've got 4 more to go. But she's not coming back as Fiona. She's coming back as Constance.
I can see that.
And so I'm curious to know what's going to be revealed about her as Constance that perhaps made Tate to be actually what you would call Satan.
You mean
in
like
some sorts.
How much was nature and how much was nurture? Like, did Constance have to like sign him up for the right classes and that kind of shit?
Right. Like, I mean, so I am a little curious about that because I think I had mentioned to you, and I found it to be fascinating, just what the Book of Revelations kind of tells about who this person named Michael is in the Revelations world. Now, this is going by, I'm sure the King James version, but he's an archangel, Michael. Yep. And so he's not the Antichrist.
No.
He's totally different than what we are presuming is the Antichrist.
Yeah. He's like the best. He's like the best guy on God's team.
Exactly. And he's the one that banishes Satan and all of his dark angels, or what we could call his cooperative, or these military people that were secret military people, maybe, I don't know, just trying to tie it in. But that's what that could be, is Michael Langdon may not actually be the Antichrist. Or he might actually turn out to be good. That's maybe just me reaching. But I mean, we know how this game is played, and we know that they like twists and they like turns and they like for you to think one thing and that not turn out to be what actually happens.
That, you're right about that. And that will be, I'm not going to say it won't be a little bit annoying, but also thinking about it from a TV standpoint, I don't really think that they can say, oh yeah, the world ended and then the Antichrist fought, Michael on the fucking battlefield and now there's no Earth. Next time on American Horror Story, a werewolf. Like, you're never going to be able to do that.
No, you're right about that. But to me, that's where our crossover with the witches might become really interesting, and it might actually turn out to be something very different than what we're thinking, right?
Right.
So those are just some thoughts to maybe digest on before next Wednesday, because I did a deep dive on this. I was like all into the Antichrist, and then who is Michael in Revelations, and what does he actually do, and is it a coincidence that he's Michael Langdon? Like,
right.
Was he named that, for a specific purpose? So
to make me think of Michael Landon, the father on Little House on the Prairie.
I know. I was actually looking that up too the other day. In between my Revelations and Devil research, I came across what was that show he was in where he was an angel? Oh gosh.
Oh shit. Shit.
It's not Touched by an Angel, but
chat. Someone help. Highway to Heaven.
Highway to Heaven. That's right. So yeah, I actually saw his name and I was like, wait a minute. And then I was like, oh no, that's the guy from Little House on the Prairie. Way to get me, Google.
Mm-hmm.
So, but those are some interesting thoughts, I think, and those are some good questions to pose, because we want to start right off the bat, because I feel like they're giving us a lot of information in the beginning, which makes me feel like this is going to be a really heavily packed season of information and figuring out who's actually bad. And I use that loosely because I don't believe in bad and good characters. You know, I believe in what one group of characters wants versus what the other group of characters want, right?
Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, if one of the characters is the Antichrist, that you're good with saying he's bad.
But yeah, well,
unless it's Bill Skarsgård, and then, oh, I do declare. Oh.
You know what? I like him, but his brother is more my bag of but I guess I'm a forever like lover at heart and dreamer in my mind, and I want to believe that those beautiful locks are for good and not for evil.
Wrongo bongo.
So, well, this has been great. And anything in the chat that we wanted to probably, shout out at, or anything?
They're gonna rev up some final thoughts. Did we get anything from the ghost?
Well, I don't know. Did we, Acadia?
Oh, well, wait a minute. I think I did.
Because I thought you were in on the booze news.
Oh.
She doesn't talk to me. She only contacts you.
Hold on. I gotta wait for this thing to open now because I forgot that was my one job. But again, I am incredibly wounded and have a lot of serious problems. Let's see. In the chat, Damiao said he was the son of a ghost and a human, so probably not, but I don't know what that was to, so I got nothing on that.
He was what now?
He was the... Wait, she says, does anyone else get the vibes that they're being messed with like a human experiment, probably the witches, because there's a microscope turning in the opening credits?
There's definitely some, well, yeah. And that's another thing I do is I totally, with American Horror Story in particular, is I obsess over these title credits, like the opening credits, and I go through every single image, and I'm like, okay. And it's like we talked about last week. They've actually taken some of the images from Murder House title credits, and they've taken some images from Coven, and they've mashed them together. But of course, they've put all of the apocalyptic, stuff on top of it, the overlay of it. And the experimental thing, which almost makes me wonder if that's what's happening at Sanctuary.
Oh.
And if they're building if at the Sanctuary they're not building a superhuman or some type of super.
Well, that's not bad. I'd be down for that.
Super fighting group. I don't know.
You mean like a bunch of milk-blooded Miriams?
Probably. I'd have to say that there are probably others of her kind out there. I don't want to say that there's not, because we still don't know what was eating those horses in the bushes. I mean, are they like mutated humans? I don't know if they'd be able to devour horses, but I could be wrong.
Right.
But I think there is something out there that someone's created, and whether Miriam is a piece of that or something totally different, obviously we don't know that yet, but that's very plausible.
Yeah, that is plausible. And I do have stuff from the ghost.
Okay.
And she dropped in. Well, I like the whole experiment idea that Damiao said that you were just picking up on.
Yeah.
So the ghost was going. She says, I'm enjoying Langdon's interrogations. He clearly already knows everything about everyone. So is he trying to assess loyalty, or is he just basically trolling them and having fun watching them kill each other?
Exactly.
Do we think that there really is a sanctuary, or is he just telling them that so they think they have something to live for?
I like that.
Didn't really think of that.
Well, that is true. I mean, But he's had to have been somewhere. Now, the way he came into Outpost 3, he did have a suit on. So it would have given the impression that he would have been victim to the radiation, out in the outside world, right? Like he didn't just roll up and, face open to the world and skin exposed and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But could that be a ruse? I mean, that could all be for show, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I like that.
That's
and
true.
Is there really, because where has he been? I mean, if there's not a sanctuary, if this is, which kind of can lend to what Dame Meow is saying about, is he trying to weed out people that he can just go experiment with?
Yeah.
Which I still think is him building some type of army to fight something. Yeah.
He's going to fight Jeebus. So Jackie said in the chat, Sanctuary wasn't good in Walking Dead, so it's probably sketchy in this as well.
Thank you, Jackie.
Dame Meow says Sanctuary is the cheese in this rat maze. And that's not...
I like that.
Yeah, that is... I like that too. So then the other big thing, and I'm going to save the big thing from the ghost.
Mm-hmm.
She says, Emily and Timothy are so happy to bone. They're so horny and bored. They also think they're smarter than the people in charge, which is dumb. But they're at the age where you're much dumber than you think you are.
Well, this is true.
And they sneak into Langdon's room and find emails saying that Venable is making the rules up as she goes. I think Langdon planted this and knew that these youngins would go snooping. And so she's basically looking at it as Langdon is a puppet master for the whole thing.
Yes.
And she thinks it's super significant that we now know how much Venable hates men, because she went on and on when she was talking to Langdon about it, that it was men, the world ends because of men.
Oh, sure. Yeah. It's always a man's fault.
Mm-hmm. And then she says, Langdon is hella sexual. I think he's just going to seduce everyone before ripping them to shreds.
I like it.
Yeah.
Well, he's going to seduce them, but he's not going to do anything with them.
Mm-hmm.
He's just going to drive everyone slowly mad.
Yeah, it's true. She also thought it was significant when Langdon cries when telling Venable about the diseased mother and the child he came across on the way to the outpost. Was it a tactic because he snapped out of it really quick, or was that genuine emotion that he was showing when he told that story?
I found that, I found that to be confusing at first. And of course, I've watched it a few times, and each time I've kind of started to build my own little thoughts around that. Does he have some type of conscience about him? He's supposed to be the Antichrist, but does he have some touch of emotion in there? Not enough that he would help, the begging mother put her child out of misery, but enough to take pause and think about the feelings or what that must feel like for, a suffering parent or a suffering person in that situation, right?
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting. And I'm not gonna get on my bandwagon again, but could that be part of him being nice?
No, he's not nice. He's bad. So then the other stuff, she says, she just pointed out that in one fucking everybody just loves The Office now, and everyone just talks about The Office all the time. The ghost pointed out when they were talking about the snakes, she said, this is an aside, but in The Office, Michael says Holly is his soup snake instead of soulmate, which is proof that everything is relatable to The Office.
Yes, I agree. I like this ghost.
Yeah, so she's a good ghost. But here's her fucking bombshell. So now we've got, Jackie Torrance says the kid cried in Castle Rock too, and we all saw how that turned out. Fucking right, Jackie. Bad. And Damien said, I think the witches watch him and mess with him for fun, and I think that the witches will step in to protect them from Michael. So she's looking at it as a triangle. Like the witches aren't on the survivor's side, but they're also not on Langdon's side.
Well, and I'm gonna obviously, I'm gonna like do more research on this because this is what consumes my time. But I've got to know when it comes to the story that they're putting out here about this being a post-apocalyptic world and this incredibly charming Antichrist who seems to have some type of heart or some type of, good part of him. I don't care what you say. This isn't Castle Rock. This isn't The Kid. Okay. I think that Langdon is good. But I do think there can be good and bad parts to everyone, but I'm not going to get in. I digress on that. I'm not going to get into that. But, but what power play would the Coven have on this? Like, what would their interest be in this? Are they a direct threat to what the cooperative is trying to do? I mean, there's obviously a lot of backstory that we haven't gotten yet, and we're going to get it. But in the beginnings here, it's fun to theorize, like, what would they really give a crap about when it comes to that? I mean, they can put an enchantment on, their digs and what they want to keep, and then who cares about the rest of it, right?
Yeah, you could make a case for that. But I think that they need for there to be a world. You know what I mean? Like they've got what fun is it being a witch if you're the only you can't go to the fucking store? Like they still buy clothes and stuff so having a society is on their list of shit to do, I think.
Well, yeah, but a witch society, I don't think they have any interest in having anything. Well,
no, Madison likes clothes.
No, but I'm saying I don't think they have any interest in being part of anything human or non-witchy. Well, what I'm saying is, because if you remember at the very end of Coven, Cordelia was supreme. She had her eyesight and everything back, and she was running a thriving and very well populated school for witches.
Yeah, but then the other one had a hair salon.
But she wasn't part of the Coven.
She wasn't in the Coven. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, she had her own thing going on with, Madame Laveau. She had her own thing going on.
Well, here's what I got for you now. This is one more thing in the chat because we're almost at 2 hours, which is pretty good for us.
Yeah.
They say the Antichrist will be extremely charismatic with many followers. That's very true. The Coven, like most witches, are more attuned to nature, and they balance the light and the dark. Because there's no reason that a witch has to be bad.
True.
So that's
very true.
I mean, so if you considered them, I guess if they were in Dungeons and Dragons, they'd be considered chaotic neutral. Like they're not fighting for one side or the other, and they are going to do it whichever way they want to do it because they don't give a shit about rules. That's what I would say. You'd say, all right, the witches are chaotic neutral. The Antichrist is, say, lawful evil.
Right.
So he's got rules and everything like that, but he's got bad intentions. And yeah, I'm going to have to think that through a little more because I hadn't really thought of it like that. You know what I mean? But I think
like that.
The witches are definitely sort of, they're going to sort of even the playing field out. You know what I mean?
Well, exactly. And I guess that's kind of what I meant when I was thinking out loud about what kind of role are they going to play in this. Yes, they do want to be the balance in the light and the dark, which, yes. And if we are looking at a world that has been totally wiped out and we've got pustulous, disgusting things running around out there, or, sharing an outpost with you, that's something that they don't particularly want in their world. But to what extent, though, I don't like the word, or I don't like the phrase, do they care? But more along the lines of, they might want to restore the balance, but that would probably be it. I don't think that they'd be trying to fight.
I mean, I think that they are citizens of the world like everybody else, and the end of the world would be the end of them. So they have something to fight for. If they were just going to make their own little island of just their witch school, they could have done that before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They didn't have to be in the middle of New Orleans and going out to the mall and shit like that, you know?
That's
So
true.
I think that it I'm gonna hold out right now for them not being good, because I'm not saying good. It's self-preservation. Without a world, there's no
Yes.
point for them.
Right.
So that's why they'd be willing to fight. But now we're almost done.
Yep.
I love talking about this with you, Mel's. It's really fun, and I thank everybody in the chat times a million.
Yes, thank you everyone for tuning in
Couldn't
and
do it without you.
giving us the feedback, because
Yep.
we feed off of it. You see what I did there?
Yeah, that was a double. That was a good.
I'm very
good.
yes. I'm
this,
very underused here by you.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, you're not going to be, because the AHS section of Superficial Gallery we're going to start working on right after the show, and it's not just going to be the episodes and the recaps. We're also going to put, if we come across any news during the week or anything like that, we're going to put that up there. So
give you
stay
some
on the
updates.
lookout for that. Yeah, and you could just subscribe. You can go to superficialgallery.com and subscribe for updates so that you'll get an email when there's something new, or try to put us in your news feed or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm going to leave everybody, including you, Mel's.
Okay, I'm ready.
With the best thing from the ghost.
I'm ready.
I want everybody to think about it. We talked about maybe Miriam was created by the witches, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if, says the ghost, what if the witches made a robot with Madame Lalarie's head? So she's the same old bitch, mean, horrible bitch from Coven,
with a new hairdo
and a super strong robot body.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge.
I like it.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
And you know what? She doesn't even really have to have a robot body, because you know what? She's immortal.
See? Well, no, but she still needs to be able to walk around.
No, I know, but I'm saying, like, well, yes, right. You're right about that. But as far as like it being possibly like rotten flesh and stuff that.
No.
Yes, she's exactly
be alive, but she needed to be ambulatory. So knock her out a robot body, send her over to spy on the cooperative. Bingo bango. You got yourself a horrible robot witch.
And what I like about that is that would also lend to my thoughts on Miriam not being the mole in Outpost 3.
Well,
not to Langdon.
Right. She's well, no. But there's got to be a reason why. There's got to be a reason why. There's got to be something in it for him. Because if they were just being a good little outpost and Langdon never came to get him, then we'll figure out what the motivations of the witches are.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So either she was trying to cause them to get reviewed, but then that becomes sort of too intricate, because what did they make the other outposts get overrun or anything like that?
Exactly.
I still kind of think it's easier. It's going to be easier if they're just making all this shit up and there wasn't really Armageddon.
Yeah.
And they're just playing, Big Brother Purple.
I like it.
So.
And to one more, well, that's a big thought to leave everybody with, obviously.
I know, right?
And that's really what I want everyone to be left thinking about is we do have a Kathy Bates character from Coven, and while they have released everyone's characters that they might be reprising, like Sarah Paulson and Evan Peters, etc. Could they have not mentioned Kathy Bates possibly being a mutated version of her Coven character? Yeah. Because she's not really coming back as that character, if that makes sense. If Lawrie.
Yeah.
So, and we know that the people from Murder House are coming back too. I mean, Dylan McDermott. So Ben's coming back. Vivian's coming back.
Right.
You know, Constance will be back. I don't know to what extent, though, the Harmons will play in it. Thaisa, is she only going to be Zoe? I don't think she's
No,
going to be.
she's Zoe and she's the witch.
Well,
She's
no,
both.
Zoe is the witch.
Her
Violet.
character from Murder House. I
Violet.
forgot. Violet. Yeah, sorry.
Okay. So I'm wondering, though, are the witches okay? Because if these photos are true of, you know, Montgomery digging up these residents of the murder house before the apocalypse ever happened, because nothing looks like nuclear winter, like we said earlier in this leaked photo, or, you know, whatever you want to call it out on the internet. They knew what was going on. Are they teaming up with these people in Murder House to kind of tag team what Michael Langdon is doing? Because we do know that Tate's coming back, but is Tate the rubber band man already? Or is, you know, I mean, Vivian is his mama. Is she coming to put the smackdown on him? I don't know.
Man, there's a lot to think about now.
There's two, and that's why I say like, the possibilities are really endless right now, because we're only 2 episodes in, but of the connection with these Murder House players, and then the connection with what we're doing with the Coven, as well. You know, like Murder House, I kind of get to like that tie-in is a little like, duh, that's what's happening, right? You know, because we know that he's directly related and tied into that, but I want to know what the witch's angle is on this. And I think that they're already somehow intertwined into the Outpost. So we'll see. I'm excited for next week.
Yeah, that's awesome. So listen, everybody, thank you so much for being so great. And no, we're not sure, Damiao, that they're overrun at all. I'm not even sure that they exist.
Exactly.
So we'll find out. Everybody, if you think of anything during the week that you want to make sure that we hit, or anything, or after you watch the episode, or if you hang around on Reddit or that kind of stuff, anything like that, you can always tweet me at Acadia, or you can tweet Mells at Mells Bells some numbers. What is it? Mells Bells 84. And or you can email superficialgallery@gmail.com.
Yeah.
You can also just haunt the post of the recap where Mel's puts all the stuff in text, so you can put questions in there or anything like that. Just stay in touch, because you're the reason why we're doing it. Because like we say every week, we could just be talking to each other without you guys, and you know what I mean? So we want to know what you think. It's really important.
It is.
And if you want to give us a bunch of money, you just go to patreon.com/gallery. And since now we're doing all these other things, I think this weekend we're going to redo the perks for what you get at each level, because now we have cooler, better things to give people, because now we have cooler, better things going on. So I guess that's it. You good, Mel's?
I'm good, Acadia. Again, thanks everybody, and we appreciate y'all tuning in with us each Friday. So
yay. And tell your friends that they can get it on iTunes if they missed it.
Yes, and Google Play, right?
Yep.
All right. Happy haunting.
Bye-bye.
Bye.